Back again, Wagwan Sapa, say Kelake Ajatu Sabi. You already know it's your boy Jimothy Sosa. Some call me Jim Higher out here, you know, just doing my thing. But as this title says today, we got to get into why did I sell my house. Your boy Jimothy sold his house in PR. It's crazy, right? Preposterous, unbelievable. Who will believe it? Well, let's get into why. I got a couple reasons why I did this, why I did that, why I didn't do some things, and how you could do it too if you are trying to sell or buy in PR. And as always, before we get into that, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, send the video to other people. It helps the algorithm and all that good stuff. Plus, Jimothy out here cold for y'all. I did all of this for y'all, so hold your boy down. Show me some love. All right, Jim Padres. Alright, so some of the basics to get started. PR is a part of the U.S., which means it uses our financial institutions and kind of our setup. So one good thing about this is you can finance properties here in PR. Well, there in PR. Yeah, so we have the FHA programs just like in the States. Also, financing is normal. Some Latin American countries or developing countries, they don't do financing as much, right? You have to have the money to buy the crib or you got to put a lot down. Here you can do the, 3.5% with FHA, so it's not that big a deal. Interest rates have gone up though with the Fed, so you gotta play that in the part. So yes, federal housing programs do apply to PR, but you're generally gonna still go through a PR bank. So some of the most popular are First Bank, Banco Popular, Oriental Bank, that's the one I had. Scotiabank used to be here, I'm not sure if they still are, but so these are some of the most popular ones that you can work with. So check those out, look at their rates, shop around, you know, get the right deal. The people who bought my house, they bought through First Bank. So we were two different banks, so I got to see a little bit of both. I don't really care or have a preference either way. I got paid. So the first thing you're gonna find out when you sell your house and tell people, they're gonna have a million suggestions on what you should have did alternatively. All about this is what I would have did. That's what I would have did. You would have did everything but do it. So I don't want to hear that. Sometimes you gotta get things done. So that's what we did. So the main things you hear is, why didn't you Airbnb it, man? You know, you could have got a good margin on that. So we'll address that. Or why didn't you rent out the crib, man? You could have had some passive income coming in and, you know, just live off of that or pay all your bills off of that. I'll address that. And then the other thing is you could have just held on to it. And I'm like, we'll address that. So let's get into that right now. Number one, Airbnb. I was apprehensive about going into the Airbnb because I was like, I don't know how many people are really going to want to stay in my place because it's not by the beach. So if you're vacationing, are you really going to want to be 15 minutes off the beach? Because I'm really in the city center, but I'm in the good part of the city center. Turns out that would have been a pretty good option. During the time that I was renting the place, which we'll get to in a minute, I did have it up on Airbnb, and because I'm forgetful, I didn't take it off the listing, so I would get offers. And most people wanted to rent it for a month or 2 months. So it seemed like a lot of people that were moving to the island and maybe waiting for their stuff or maybe looking for a place, they were trying to use the place, and I would have came out a little bit better. I think I would have got about $3,000 a month, and that was with me doing discounts. With rent, I was looking for, you gotta wait for the rent segment. Sorry, shorty. Can't go too fast, can't go too fast. But that wasn't the only thing about the Airbnb. I didn't want to have to try to manage the maintenance. Now, after all, I probably could have used some of the PR incentives, hired a Puerto Rican, and then paid no taxes on that money. But I didn't really want to go through all that at a long distance with my high demanding job right now. Looking back at it, maybe. So option two, renting it out. This is the approach that I did. So how did I do this? I started out by using a bunch of Facebook groups and I got a lot of hits. I had people come into the spot, but then I got close to the deadline where I needed to move and I realized I couldn't be long distance and also trying to vet leases. And everybody wasn't trying to pay exactly the amount I wanted. So ultimately, I just decided to put in a couple $1,000 more to repaint the place, spruce it up a little bit, and I got a property management company to rent it out for me. They did a good job. It probably took about 2 weeks for them to find a tenant. I was making a good profit margin and everything was good, looking lovely. You know, they only charged me 1 month's rent, so that's less than 10% for a year's worth of maintenance. You can't really beat it. Peace of mind costs money, right? Until peace of mind didn't cost enough money. It's like, no, it's not their fault at all, but there ended up being an incident with the tenants. A Fed story came out where essentially They were selling drugs and the feds found it and they shot back at the feds, ended up killing the police officer, well, a federal agent, and then basically they came to the crib, kicked in the door, tried to find more drugs. Thankfully, I didn't have anything to do with that because I was just an unknowing tenant and that all got resolved with the feds, but that is a little story. Overall, my experience renting was pretty good. Outside of that, that was a good 3 months. But I wasn't really sure if I wanted to hop back into renting, still being long distance. I was thinking, let's try option 3. So option 3 was to sell the house. And this is ultimately what we came and we did. That's what the titles say, right? I decided to sell because I was thinking the market is at its height. Stocks are about to come down. Real estate's about to come down. It'd probably be better to cash out, have money on hand so I can pay off debt, stash on the side, invest in some stocks that I think are gonna do well, and then also have money for a down payment if I choose to do a flip or something like that here in Columbus, or if I want to buy back in PR when the prices go back down. You know, I'm real smart, man. I'm real smart. Like I be trying to tell y'all just don't be listening. Yeah, so I decided to let's test the market. After the rental situation happened, I was like, let's just see if he can get it sold quick, then cool, but if it's gonna take a few months, I'll just rent it for a profit again. You know, what's the worst that could happen? So all in all, the selling process, it took about 2.5 to 3 weeks for him to find a buyer. Once we found the buyer, do all the paperwork and get to a closing date, it took about 2 weeks. So it was a little bit over a month and then everything was done. I did this last week. Y'all saw me in PR a little bit. Had to go back to sign the deal and, you know, wrap some things short. I'm gonna make another video if you guys are interested in a little bit more details behind the scenes of working with the realtor and some of the bank paperwork that had to take place, but I don't want to bore everybody with that because I'm sure y'all just interested about me and my money, right? But yeah, other video will be coming out soon. Keep a lookout for that. When I think back on it, I really just went into this to buy this crib to pay less in rent, and I really wanted to stay in PR, so I was like, I'll pay less in mortgage, then I'll have a property, I'll figure out what I'm going to do with it 3, 4, 5 years down the road when it's time to leave. And that's exactly what happened. 3 years down the road, I was able to sell for a nice profit. I paid my debts, and basically what my plan was, I said I was going to do it, and I did it, even unwittingly, you know. So if you got an idea, roll with that joint, stick with it, maybe adapt it here and there, and look at what's going on around you. Look at the market so you can make the right decisions. Ultimately, I'm glad I did it. Now, would I do it again? Knowing what I know now, what I really would have done, because on closing day I got to see how much the people who bought the house's mortgage was going to be, I would have refinanced the crib, which means I would have been able to basically take the equity, take the profit that I got off the value of the house, and it appraised at the amount that we sold for. So that means I would have basically took all the profit that I did take, and then I still would have been able to rent the place out for about $700 profit a month, and had the passive income like option 2 said, or could have been able to Airbnb it and take those profits. But I would have had to refurnish the house if I did Airbnb, so that's a little downside there. But overall, that's what I would have done if I could do it over now, if I would have known everything. But nobody is ever mad at taking a profit and taking a win. Ultimately, I'm up and I'm on my eyes looking for the next things. My eyes is on the prize. Franklin 10 over here in Ohio looks like a decent little spot I might be looking at. We'll see. I'll see if I got some investments. I'll let y'all know about it. But yeah, man, Jimothy out. That's what's up here. I got new content coming for y'all. It's almost been 8 months. I finally got Ohio down a little bit, so stay tuned for your boy Jimothy Sosa. Yeah.